morning, everybody. It's right about 5 a.m. We are expecting a pretty long day today. Yeah, it is pretty early. We actually only got like 4 hours of sleep after work last night, but it's all good. We're up and early, ready to get the day, seize it all together. I don't know, I'm trying to wake myself with some positive thinking. We're heading over to Orlando right now to pick up the weight plate, then we'll head over to SRP, have Ricky weld it on. I have my control arms as well that they came in like 2 or 3 days ago, so we'll be able to put those on while we're there as well. And you know, hopefully it should be a productive day. Quick little stop at the gas station, got some Starbucks, got like 20 minutes left to drive, but we're getting there, should be there soon. All right, so we are in Orlando. I just picked up the weight plate. It's still pretty early, it's like 8 o'clock. It's got a bit of surface rust, but that's no issue at all. I'm gonna sand that down before we weld it on, and then I'll coat it with some anti-rust stuff. And while I'm here, I'm actually at Yost's house right now, but he's sleeping, so I'm gonna let him hold on to my relay kit. So I just set that into his mailbox real quick. That way I don't wake him up before work. And now I'm gonna head back over towards Daytona so I can go back to SRP, Seller Racing Performance, and we'll mock up the weight plate and actually put it onto the car. So pretty happy about that. In Harbor Freight now, picked up 80 grit flap disc. That way we can get the weight itself down to bare metal for 2 reasons. So we can coat it and prevent any future rust, coat regular paint. And second reason, so we can get a clean weld on it. Alright, so we just got to the shop right now. I started scuffing up a little bit, taking off the surface rust. It's not going to take off 100%, but at least get the weld points nice and clean. And I'm going to remove the intercooler, drain the radiator with the fluids and everything, and get a clear path off the traction bar and start mucking everything up exactly where we're going to weld it onto. Alright, so we've got the intercooler and radiator removed, the coolant being drained. There's still a little bit in the engine, but that's not really a concern right now. I'll show you guys my crappy weld over here. I didn't paint it yet. Well, now this is getting cut off anyway, but those are my little MIG welds. They're terrible. I'm not a good welder, but they stayed on for the little amount of time that they were on there. But now we're going to cut those off. That way I can have the traction bar meet with the weight plate and muck it up with a jack and probably just tack it for now and make sure everything fits well, and then go ahead and weld it completely. Gotta clean this up a bit. I'll bring the weight plate up and start mucking everything up. So we've got the template kind of mocked up, and as you can see, this part just like it's gonna slide right into the cutout that we had designed into the weight plate. And I don't know if it was my error when I did the measurements, probably was, but this is off about 1/4 of an inch. So we're actually thinking right now how we're gonna cut it, because this is 1/2 inch steel and it's pretty hard to cut. So I think we're gonna get it. I don't know, but we're figuring it out right now. But besides that, it seems to fit pretty well. I gotta mock up the intercooler and radiator and see how it fits around the bumper as well. But I kinda wanna wait until we cut that out right there so we can see how everything fits and slides into position, how it should be, and once it's installed, how it's actually gonna look. so we ended up cutting the rest of this off with a sawzall. Cut pretty easily. So now we're just gonna clean it up. This is the bottom piece that I hadn't touched yet, so I'll get all the rest off, make sure it's nice and clean before it goes on, and we'll go from there. Just got that cut back a little bit, so now it's starting to fit. I just have to take off like maybe a millimeter on this side right here, just clean it up a little bit more, and then it should be able to slide perfectly and have little to no gap right there. And I think we're also going to be doing a little plate right here with a support coming outwards. That way it's, you know, as secure as possible, so we just don't have one point of contact from the traction bar to the plate itself. But it's coming out pretty good. There's an angle from a little farther. And that should be more than enough to fit the intercooler, the radiator, and the bumper across it. Although the stock bumper has, where the mouth is, it has that little curvature of plastic towards the inside, which we're probably going to have to trim off if we're bringing the intercooler up a little bit, even if it's like an inch or two, which isn't a problem for me because what I wanted to do anyway was close out the front and then cut out specifically for the intercooler and radiator to have kind of like a V-stack intake effect. I don't know what the correct term of it is, but have like all the air direct to where it's supposed to be instead of just going into the open of the engine bay. So far we've prepped the surface on the plate and on the traction bar and the whole assembly, everything. Now we're trying to get it level. Since the lift and the car isn't sitting level, we're doing it off the traction bar. So we're looking at where the bubble is on there and trying to match it as best as possible on here, just by playing with the trans jack and everything. And then the next thing after that, we want to make sure that it's level straight with like atmosphere. So this is going to have to come forward a little bit, or the front is going to have to come down a little bit, and we'll figure that out afterwards when we make sure that the car is level itself. That way we don't have any air coming down below the plate while it's driving. That way it doesn't lose traction up top. Come 2 times in one day. This way or how this is?
Well, we can get it tacked on, then we can adjust that way. That's about as close as I can get it.
I'm still going to quarter balance the car, so. So it's just tacked on right now. We test fitted the bumper, if you notice in the time lapse, and it's going to sit right below it, which is perfect because if you put a lip, it's going to conceal it just how it should. And we're thinking of closing in the front bumper like I mentioned earlier, so that's all going to be relevant to how it's done later. But it should be perfect right here, and we're just going to go ahead and continue welding it. We just got off the passenger side lower control arm from the rear because I have these billet ones to go in instead, and just from the feel about it, it's about half the weight, so that's definitely a plus, and they look a little nicer obviously. Not that that really matters, but we're going to throw those on real quick. It's simple. There's 3 bolts that attach it on the bottom. You can do it with the wheel off if the car's on the ground, or if it's in the air, you don't really have to take anything off. A couple more pounds taken off the back of the car, and they look a lot nicer than this crap. The bushings are kind of worn on this one, brand new bushings. Got them for really cheap too, so it doesn't hurt to put them on. As for the front plate, we were gonna weld a couple supports off of the face right here to have like a tubular bar to go to the right there, but after testing how strong it is just by having the top bead, we think that we're not even gonna do that. We might, we haven't decided yet, but we're still gonna weld the bottom of it. We're just waiting on some more gas. That way it's secured correctly and everything. But I don't think we're gonna end up doing the bars, but it's coming out really good. I tested the bumper. It sits right about right there, and it goes with the curvature of the bumper. NHRA rule specifies that, if I'm not mistaken, that has to be 3 inches or higher from the ground once it's on like the floor with the slicks and everything. And this tire is 1 inch taller than my slick. It's like a 26, if I'm not mistaken, or 25 and a half. My slicks are 24 and a half. And being how it is right now, it measures out at 6 inches from the ground clearance. So we have more than enough room to play with. We're not worried about the clearance on that. And the intercooler and radiator should be able to fit there no problem. And while we're doing everything up here, we're gonna also add the battery onto the passenger side, because obviously I'm on the driver's side, and that's gonna kind of counteract the weight a little bit, and it puts it up front where we want it. So between the 125-pound plate plus heavy old intercooler, radiator, and the battery that's somewhere around here, right over there, it's gonna be a good amount of weight up front, maybe like 170-ish, 175 maybe. I'm gonna have to weigh everything to know exactly, but that's my estimate to the front wheels, how much we'll have hanging over it. So we're pretty happy with that. Test fitting right now, the radiator and the intercooler. It still has the tabs underneath, so it's kind of like facing, or it's loose right now, so given how I can mount it, it's probably gonna have about 2 inches of clearance between the wastegate and the radiator. And I can pull this forward to about this edge right here, but I'm not worried about the edges. I just want to make sure the piping is going to fit and everything. So it's looking pretty good. The weight plate, like I was saying, sits right underneath the actual lip of the bumper. So either with a aftermarket lip underneath or closing out the front, we should be perfect. So what kind of weight you think we have up front?
A bunch of kilos.
Come on.
You got 125 weight plate.
Uh-huh.
You got a battery that's probably 20 pounds. An intercooler that's probably 15 pounds. Piping, call it 20 with the intercooler plus the radiator. Probably 15, 10.
It's like 170-ish.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good weight to put up front. So I'm thinking of having the battery mount right there and then do some good covers over the terminals, obviously. We'll have to send the piping a little bit more backwards so it can connect with the rest of the piping right there. That is still using a large coupler that we can rotate, and we might be able to get away with just bending this outwards a little bit and connecting it that way. So that really shouldn't be an issue. Like I was saying a little bit earlier while the bumper was on, we have plenty of clearance within the wastegate and the radiator itself. And now it can actually sit straight up rather than having to have a tilt to it. And there should be minimal cutting on the bumper, and we can have it exactly how we want with the shroud directing to the radiator and the intercooler, just how we talked about it. Last piece to weld is just the bottom right here. Then we can start painting it and make sure that it won't rust in the future. Well, Ricky said that he loves Hondas. But it's looking pretty good. We've got reinforcement on, well, it's welded on the top and reinforced on the bottom. We're not doing the bars, right?
I don't think so.
Like, we were moving the whole car, like standing on it and everything, so it doesn't seem like it's gonna need it at all, especially since it's only 125 pounds. So I'm gonna clean it up a little bit on the bottom right now and on the top and put some of the paint, which is actually the same paint that I used on the roll cage. It's like anti-rust and self-priming roll bar and chassis paint by VHT. So we'll give that a good paint right now, let it dry overnight, and tomorrow start doing the brackets and everything to actually have the intercooler and radiator sit where it's supposed to and be firm and make sure that the battery won't move as well. All right, so I ran out of the can, but I was able to cover everything, as you can see right here. Kind of a light coat, but it's good for now. I'll probably come with some more and undercoat the bottom a little bit more, but for now it's more than enough. All the welds are covered and protected, and there's no rust at all. I was able to paint this a little bit, kind of a light coat as well. Although it used to be the matching engine bay red, I started sanding it down because we were going to do the little plates, and we ended up not doing it because it's more than sturdy enough to hold itself like that. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out. The brackets look like it's going to be simple to make. Probably just drill a couple holes right here and right here to have the radiator stay where it should be. Put a few grommets in there as well. For the battery, the Optima, if you look right here, it's a dry cell, and it has, like, the casing has bolts already in it when I had it bolted to my floorboard. So after I have it placed right here, I'm probably just going to drill some holes and have a nut and a bolt just to make sure that it's secure. Then for the compressor housing on the turbo, we're going to loosen the compressor bolts on this side. That way we can clock this a little more forward and have this coupler go to the piping that comes right over here. And then it'll be more of a direct fit. And for the cold side, we have to extend this out a little bit more this way, or extend the other piping a little bit more backwards, just so it can fit correctly. Since we are bringing the intercooler up forward a little bit more, we just want everything to fit all nice. Just like Nick likes. Oh, just in case you guys don't know what Mustang taillights look like, because I know that a lot of people don't see them very often. There are these 3 pillars over here. Sometimes if they pretend to race you on the highway, they'll light up red when he stops and he throws his flashing lights on. But just in case you guys don't see him a lot, that's what it looks like. Yeah. Nick Curtin.
This big old plate, you're never gonna see it.
Whoa, 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 careful, careful. That has fresh paint on it.
Fresh paint.
Yeah.
My name.
Oh, man.
Mustang lifestyle.
Shout out to Andrew. But yeah, that pretty much does sum it up for today. We got a lot done. We got the weight plate in Orlando early this morning. Thank you so much to Angel. I appreciate you helping me out with that. We got the lower control arms onto the car. We got the weight plate mounted, fitted, checked like all the levels and everything, welded on, sealed with the paint. And now we're just waiting for it to dry so we can put the brackets and all the hardware and stuff in the front tomorrow. Yeah, I want to give a huge thank you to Ricky and the team at SRP, Shannon, Nick, all of you guys. Well, not Nick so much because, you know, he drives a Mustang. But thank you guys very much, and thank you all for watching. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Make sure to hit the like button if you want to support us. We really appreciate it when you guys do. And stay tuned for more. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow so we can get a couple more stuff done on the car. And we'll see where the build takes us. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.